I love the bass. I love bass. I love bass. Is it
I just
still
love
playing?
that guitar, the slap, and yeah. I'm not a musical man, but I just love that sound.
Well, we're going to find out which music you like today on the show. Welcome everyone to season 2 of In the Vapor, a show about individuals in our community and industry. The goal of this show is to show the world that we come from all different walks of life, and most importantly, and I'm going to call him Birdie because he said he's fine to call him Birdie. Birdie, I'm going to ask you the question that I ask all my guests: are you a bot?
I am not a bot. Let me tell you, 100% categorically not a bot. I've been called many, many, many things, and a lot of them you can't repeat in public. But I am definitely not a bot.
No, we are not bots. I didn't have to unplug myself this morning. I'm sure Birdie did not have to unplug himself from the USB hub.
Although a jump start this morning at 3:30 a.m. could have been a really good plus, I can assure you. I've been on the go since
coffee.
Been on the go since 3:30 this morning. So, it's now 12:05.
Yes. Birdie's coming
Midnight.
all the way from Australia. So he's, technically 17 hours, correct? In front of me.
Yeah, 17 hours at the moment. Yeah. Are you guys in daylight savings yet?
Yes. Yeah. No, not yet. Right now here in California where I'm at, it is 7:05.
Yep.
Yeah. In the morning.
17 hours.
So Birdie's in the future. So I'm going to ask Birdie a secret question. Birdie, can I have the lottery numbers for tomorrow?
Man, fuck. If you can share them with me, we'll be both winning. We had a $100 million lottery last night, and it didn't go off. So it's jackpotted next week to 150 million.
Yeah. I won't tell you how high ours get because you'll be a little.
Oh yeah, I know. We get told what yours goes up to. Like it's $500 million, $1 billion. Like
$2 billion. I'm like, the fun fact: almost 53% of that money goes back to the government.
Of course it does. It does.
Yeah, they gotta get their cut, right? Right, Birdie? They got to get their cut.
Absolutely, man. You wouldn't mind if they took you out for dinner and a movie before they sexually assaulted you, because that's all they do. And it doesn't matter what country in the world.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm definitely 100% categorically can state that I am not a bot. Yeah. Who'd put a beard like this on a bot?
I'd be a winner.
Man. I might get confused for cousin It, but and we're of the age where we remember cousin It. The Addams Family. Yeah, mate. The Addams Family and the Munsters. I used to play hooky from school, so I could stay home and watch them.
Yeah, I have been 100%. Immersed in Viking stories for the last month and a half, or more than that, almost 3 months now. And right now I'm watching Vikings on Netflix. And you
5 or 6 times. Watch the whole series.
Yeah. You know who you look like from that show to me?
You want Ragnar in later life.
Yes, Ragnar, but Floki.
Ragnar in later life. Floki.
Yeah, you look like Floki. When I saw the first picture of you, I was like, and I'm watching it, I'm going, Floki, that's Floki, man. I thought
I'm a little bit crazy like Floki, but I'm definitely not as tall because I'm only 5'8.5". So
yeah, he was, Floki,
he's a big man. But yeah, look, I've watched Vikings front to back 5 or 6 times. The Last Kingdom, watched that 5 or 6 times. Yes, Mallory, no one would build a bot like Birdman. I love Mallory Gates. She's awesome. And it's great to see, we've got Neil Pitts, Anthony Hart, Ern, microwave oven, you know,
Great YouTube name.
Labworks.
Great
Oh
YouTube
yeah,
name.
100%. My little brother, the Super Indigo. So yeah, it's great to see people here and really appreciate you. And I also want to say a big thank you to you for inviting me on your show.
I
do
have been
appreciate it.
following you a long time on Instagram, and when I was doing the show, getting the show together, I kind of had a list of people that I wanted on the show, and you were on the top of that list. And one of the reasons I wanted you on the list is because you're keeping the old guard alive. And I think
Yeah.
that part of vaping, where most of us that have been vaping, I'm going on 13 years. No, I'm 13 years vaping,
Yeah.
and you're keeping that generation alive and going, the Mechmods, the guys that are still building, the guys that are still, using RDAs, they're still making massive coils. And I missed that. This has taken over.
Yeah.
And the simplicity, I understand, but for me, and I'm sure it's the same for you, there's no better feeling than making that first coil. When you make that
Oh
first coil,
God, yeah.
yeah.
I've got to say I've been vaping 5.5 years. I found Mex a little over 5 years ago. And I was fortunate that when I got into Mex, I found Bogan, I found Batman, and I found Big Lou really early on. Batman and Big Lou in particular were two guys that had a huge impact on me in regards to power.
Yeah.
For me, giving up cigarettes through, and it was predominantly mechanical devices. It wasn't until I experienced that heat, and I'm not talking about nicotine heat or nicotine throat heat. I am talking about a lung full of hot air. Stacking mechs, and then multi-stacking mechs. Like I've done 17. I regularly run 17.4 volts on my lipos. I've done 29.4 volts, so 7 batteries in series. But I run regularly, 400, 500, 600 watts.
Yeah.
And it's the heat that satiates me, you know. So governments, anti-vapors, whatever, listen, not everybody fits into one category.
That's exactly right.
And Mex for me, it was about the building. It was about the tinkering, the gaining knowledge, that raw power, and also the craftsmanship,
Exactly.
the Mechmods that you see, g'day, Michael Redfern. It was about that, and then the collecting.
Yes, the collecting.
The collecting. But the difference is a lot of people will collect stuff and put it on the shelf. I won't. I will collect it. I will use it. It doesn't matter whether it's a $50 Mechmod or it's $1,000 Mechmod. The Dead Man's Hand Seraphim.
Yes.
Like that's solid copper. I paid over retail for it because I wanted it.
You wanted it.
I had a Necronom. I sold the Necronom. I actually didn't sell it. I'll tell a lie. I traded it. But it's about that, Filipino mechs are my thing. I love Pinoy mechs, the craftsmanship. They're just amazing.
That stuff that was coming out of early in Japan really blew my mind. Really blew my mind because they took the craftsmanship and the level of precision that they're known for, and just took Mechmods to a whole new level, added the artwork, added the beauty that they have. For me, and I'm sure it's the same thing for you, it's just holding that piece of steel in your hand. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
a significant piece of metal that is in your hand. And whether or not you do believe in this or not, but I think a majority of people still feel that when they hold something that's substantial, it's quality. Your mind automatically assumes this is
Psychologically.
yeah, psychologically it is quality. And when you hold a Mechmod, a stainless steel Mechmod or copper Mechmod, you feel the difference between what you got from Japan or China, the smock mod. But that would have yes, yeah,
That's near 2 pound.
2 pounds. Yeah,
That's
2
nearly
pounds of
2
copper right there.
pounds.
Yeah,
You know, the same as Polly. Yeah, psycho. That's nearly 2 pounds of brass.
yeah,
Yeah. It's g'day, Jason.
yeah.
One of my favorite parallel mod, the Plan B box.
Yeah, yes.
2 pounds of brass.
Yeah.
You know,
It's not just a Mechmod,
yeah.
it is a weapon too. I thought I would bring in your Australian
There's
buddy.
a weapon. There's a weapon. That's 6 stacks. That's 6 stacks. Paulie, man, great to see you, brother. Long. And now that I've seen your face, my memory has just gone straight back to Kingsgrove.
Paulie Walnuts in the house.
Yeah, Paulie Walnuts in the house.
I call him Paulie Walnuts. He loves it. He loves it. Well, I'm gonna hit you with our first question. We're gonna hit you with the first question, Pat. This is a big one. And I got to get my meme ready here. Birdie, pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Double-edged, because I got a daughter that loves it. I can take it or leave it. I'm more of a pepper pizza, like as in chilies, as in anything that's hot. So, like, I eat Reapers for pleasure. I eat Carolina Reapers for pleasure.
So it's a no. It's a no. Just make the host happy and say no.
I'll sit on the fence on that one. Hey, bastards in chat. Microwave ovens now telling me to keep my batteries married. Birdie one. I should have. I've got a onesie, not a onesie, a hoodie, which is like a big dressing gown type thing that it's got all stars and moon and rah, and with a hood on it, and I walk around with the big 7 stack, and I do the Gandalf. You shall not pass.
You just sounded just like him too just now. Dude. I got chills. I got chills when you said that. Oh my goodness. Oh, that's great. That's great. Question number 2 for you. What makes the city you live in special? And if we were to visit, what restaurant or bar should we try? So this is a good way to get to know the area that you live in and what makes it special for you. And
the city I live in is Blue Mountain City. It is the outskirts of Sydney. What makes it so special is the land. The land, there is nothing like it. In my opinion, I'm a real homebody. I don't go out very often, not like the young days where Paulie will tell you, man, the nights up at King's Cross or the nights nights at Hellfire and rah, and he's in total denial. But it's all right because these people have no idea what we're talking about, Paulie, so we're pretty safe. But
aren't you glad though? Aren't you glad that our generation didn't have cell phones with cameras and video? Because I think
I'd still be in jail, man. I would still be in jail. That's a guaranteed. I would still be in jail.
We
Paulie, you got to charge those mice up, mate, for the internet.
Get the mouse
we
running.
need lawyers. Like,
Yeah, well, my middle daughter's studying to be a lawyer. She's doing a double degree at the moment, and I said you'd have been useful about 30 years ago for me.
So what else makes where you live special, Bertie?
Realistically, it's the countryside and the people. All bullshit aside, getting out of Sydney to the outskirts of Sydney and living in a place as pretty as where I live, the country wise, the landscape, it's the people up here in the mountains are different. They're it's not a big city feel. It's very not regional or country, but it's community. It's very community. You know, you walk down the street, you say g'day, how you going? You know, you might someone you have no idea who they are, but you'll stop and talk for 5 minutes.
Yeah,
you know, that's the beauty of where I live. You know, and you walk down to the pub, or you go down to the pub, have a counter meal, couple of beers, and you just talk to people. You know, it's very welcoming. Is probably the air is
cleaner.
The air is a shitload cleaner.
Yes, it
absolute shitload cleaner. It's a very serene place. It's very quiet.
Yeah,
that's
nice.
I can sit out on the back deck, and my back deck faces northeast, so perfect weather in Australia. I have the birds. Yeah, there's some great pubs up here, but I have the birds come into my backyard. You know, I have all sorts of other creatures, like I have snakes and spiders and bandicoots and whatnot, but they don't worry me. But you know, they all come in. You know, it's special.
Is there a specific pub that we should all see when we get there?
In Sydney, Oxford Tavern, on the old Oxford Tavern at Canterbury was pretty wild back in the day. But no, look, I don't think so. Like I said, these days I'm not a pub drinker. I haven't been 25, 30 years since I got remarried.
I'm trying to look up that place, and they have quite a few. The Oxford pub in England and the UK.
Yeah, the Oxford Tavern in Petersham was a wild old night back in the day. I was when I was a young man, when I was in my late teens, early 20s, and I worked in the city. Whole different ball game. Whole different ball game. But now, 4 children later,
kids will do that to you.
Like my youngest daughter's 19. You know, so I go 19, 22, 24, and 20, 28. My kids. And it's thank Christ the oldest one's a boy.
Of course,
that's all I can say. He will protect his sisters.
Yes. That's my 2 boys. My daughter's the youngest, and they would. A funny story, but we always had boys at the house, and she was always the little sister. And then, of course, as she gets older, the boys start to take interest. And one day, one of my son's, my middle son's buddies walked past the room and sat on our bed, and they were talking. And my older son came walking by, looked in there, and goes, "I don't fucking think so." Grabbed him by the dragged him out. He goes, "You don't go in that fucking room ever go in that room."
It's funny you say that, because I was married, my first wife, and my best mate, I got divorced from my first wife. I went through the whole gambit. I had a nervous breakdown. I attempted suicide, the whole nine. I was a basket case. But I ended up dating my best mate's sister.
Ooh.
And who now I'm married to and have been for coming up to 25 years. G'day, Addie Tuney. Been married to for 25 years. I was at her 21st as a guest. She was at my first wedding as a guest. And look, when I first met my now wife, I thought she was a stuck-up wog bitch, and she thought I was a wild-ass, hairy-ass, Westie yobbo. You know what I mean? We were just diametrically opposed.
That's the ones that always work. Those are the ones that work, man.
Yeah, look, it is. And like I said, 25 years married. So, it's pretty amazing. And her brother, who, like I said, who was my best friend, has passed. He passed coming up to 4 years ago. And she is my best friend. My wife is my best friend. Yeah. Like I clown around and I flirt and all the bullshit. But that lady in that house is my best friend.
Yeah. My dad always said those opposites attract, and because you challenge each other, and that's I've never really paid much attention to that until I got much older and realized that sure, you could have this great fake marriage where just everything's always good, never challenging each other, but when you do get you get into that situation where there's something that needs to be addressed by both of you, you don't know how to work it out. But when you have someone that's challenging you and you're challenging them, you can come to here we go. Bertie, what was Bertie's first job, and did you quit or get fired?
No, I didn't get fired. No, my first full-time job was I worked in finance. I worked for Citicorp, which became Citibank, which is now Citigroup, which is the second largest financial institution in America.
Yep.
And I left that, and I went into import-export air freight legally. I worked for another American company called Burlington Northern, Burlington Air Express, which was another American company. And then I got the shits with that, and 2 years later, and went to work outside. I worked in tires, and I've worked in tires now for 35 years. Yeah. Those days are long gone, man. Those days are long gone. And I've been in tires now for 35 years.
Was the boss named Tony by any chance? No. Or Anthony or Scapoli, some Italian. Oh,
hey, bastard, mate! I used to wear a 3-piece suit to work. That's no bullshit. Yeah. And I wasn't the defendant
with that beard.
No, mate, no. This beard's only about a decade old.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say that look today would be off the charts.
Oh, very on point. Very on point.
3-piece suit with that beard. Jesus.
Yeah. I usually shave my head, but I've gotten lazy because it's starting to get cold. Because I'm usually, it gets pretty cold up here in the mountains, and so I thought, fuck it. No, John, you may not know about this video that exists of me. Bearded Viking Customs, Brent, right? He sent me a video of him living in Portugal, splitting firewood. So me being me, I had to one up. So I got out in a pair of jocks, like wearing Crocs, and I'm splitting firewood. And I sent it to Brent, and then Brent decided to post it, and so it's Birdie in jocks and crocs cutting firewood. So that
we will
it's a running
scour the
joke.
internet to find that video. We will scour the internet.
If you really want it, mate, I'll send it to you. It's a good laugh. It's just me being me, like, because
great.
I'm very self-deprecating. I stand on no pretense.
I am the same way.
I am.
Have fun. Life is about having fun. And
you get one shot, mate.
That's it. You get one shot, and we have all this technology available to us. And, before, if you wanted to talk to somebody on the other side of the world, you had to pick up a phone, or even farther back, you had to write a letter. But now we have audio and video. We're in touch with family all over the world. It's amazing. I'm going to see if Paulie has a question for you. Paulie Walnuts, do you have a question for Birdie?
I want to know if he's ever going to get to the stage of actually shaving that beard off and giving it to someone. Like, no, hang on.
All right.
Because one of our other friends did it for charity, but Birdman didn't get around to doing it.
There was two of them that did it, though. Yeah, and I know what you're talking about, Paulie.
Yeah.
We did a fundraiser for a lady in the UK that's stage 4 lung cancer.
Okay.
And Bearded Viking Customs and Legion Vapes shaved their beards off for charity. They raised £2,000.
Nice.
And I had left the stream literally 10 minutes earlier. Brent was well on it, well oiled. It was quite Oliver Twist, pissed, and Steve said, "No, I'll just do it because of doing it." Look, for the right charity event, would I do it? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But when I say the right charity event, there's one charity that I support, and that's Men's Mental Health. Having had my own battles, but it would have to be a decent sum of money, because I haven't seen my face in 10 years, mate, and I'm not in a big hurry to see it again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I would.
Yeah, I have a best friend who has had long hair his entire life, and I mean long hair. He's a rocker. He's been a rocker his whole life. His daughter's getting married. Daughter pleaded with him, "Dad, I love you, but you got to cut your hair for the wedding." And I was shocked. You can't say no to your daughter. You just cannot say no.
Not with something like that. No.
Yeah.
Not with something like that. No.
Yeah. So he was the same way.
I had long hair as a young man. Yeah. Like, my hair was to my ass.
Yeah.
Because I was and going to get into that question, what music do I like? I was a hard rocker.
Yeah.
The AC/DCs, the Led Zeppelins, the White Snake, the Heart is my all-time favorite band.
Okay. All right. See, that's a question I have for you guys, both of you guys, because this is something I have gotten to travel around the world a lot, and I've gotten to go to a lot of places in Europe and the UK, and one of the things I noticed, and including Australia, I've never been to Australia, but this is something I've noticed about Australia. Rock lives in these places. I go to Italy, and my cousins are listening to Metallica, listening to Y&T, listening to Godsmack, and I'm like, why here? And where I live in the United States, let's be honest, hip hop, R&B has taken over. That is
the age,
right?
That's the age. You got to remember our age, because we're all the same age.
Right.
We grew up. We cut our teeth. It was either folk music or it was rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
And the precursor to that was the Beatles.
Mm-hmm.
The precursor to that was Elvis Presley. Yep. And it transcended and grew from that. Whereas the Black Sabbaths, the AC/DCs, the Metallicas, even later, the Ozzy Osbournes, the rock. It was heavy rock. I never got into the disco sort of stuff, or
Polly did. Polly did.
I didn't get into the disco. I got into the rap R&B side for a bit. Go for it, Jason. Hope you bag out, brother. But yeah, that was teenage thing. I did a bit of the punk thing, for a while, but still come back to rock and roll. Still come back to heavy rock. Like I said, Hart Ann Wilson could put her slippers under my bed any night of the week.
Yeah,
any night of the week.
With you going into music here, let's go with this one. The first song you remember learning all the words to was, and I don't know if you want to sing it. You can.
I won't sing it. I won't sing it because, mate, I've got a great voice, but a really rough passage coming out.
Yeah.
My first song I ever remembering the complete lyrics to was "Bat Out of Hell."
Oh, "Bat Out of Hell."
Bat Out of Hell. Yeah. The sirens are screaming, the fires are howling way down in the valley tonight. There's a man in the shadow with a gun in his eye and the blade shining oh so bright. Yeah, that was the first song I ever learned.
Nice.
77.
1977. Yeah. That is awesome, man. What I was saying too, it's not even my age generation. It's the younger generation in Italy and the UK that is listening to older rock, and I love it. And I mean, it still lives on there. Germany the same way. Germany's always been about metal, hard rock, and it's kind of always been that way. There, some of the greatest friggin' metal bands have come from that part of the world. And metal and hard rock have always lived in that part of the world, but it's kind of fed its way into the rest of Europe, like in Italy, and they love rock. And it's like, even these bands, like today, if I'll throw out an older band from the 80s, say 38 Special. You guys remember 38 Special?
Yep.
If they were to tour here today, basically the only event they would get would be a fair. So you're talking maybe 8,000-9,000 people. But if they were to go to Europe and tour in Europe, they would fill a stadium because people want to see that old rock. They want to hear it played.
They still you get bands like Heart come out here a couple of years ago, White Snake, Twisted Sister, Rah Rah. They're still selling out.
Yeah, it's insane.
20,000 venues, Ozzy Osbourne could do it. Metallica,
Def Leppard. That's another band.
Def Leppard, Def Leppard.
Oh,
Def Leppard was another one, Paulie. Yeah,
they're touring here right now. Yeah,
but those 80s rock bands, 90s rock bands, Guns N' Roses still sell out here. And I'm not a huge Guns N' Roses fan, but I still appreciate what they did.
Yeah, what they did throughout the 80s is amazing. I believe they're one of. Don't get mad at me down there, Paulie, but I believe they're one of the bands that saved rock through the 80s. I think if there was no Guns N' Roses, I don't think rock would have survived part of the 80s, but I think R&B and hip hop would have started taking over.
Hell of a lot more.
Yeah.
I can't argue with you because they did have so many iconic songs.
Yeah.
There's two other bands that you've got to throw in there. One would be White Snake from the 80s.
Yes.
That's another band.
Yes.
That's another huge band from the 80s.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then from the 70s, and that's where I cut my teeth with Ted Nugent and Kiss in the.
Kiss for sure.
Kiss is for sure. 70s.
Kiss. I saw Kiss in 81.
Wow.
Now, no, actually, there is another band you can add to that, and that's Iron Maiden.
Iron Maiden for sure. For sure, Iron Maiden for sure. Yeah, no, Kiss is my first concert. It was my first official concert was Kiss.
Same album. Like
actually,
with
it
me,
was mine too.
Yeah.
And my first album that I ever got, that and Ted Nugent, Cat Scratch Fever.
Yeah. I've still got, I don't have a collection like Paulie's got of LPs, but I've still got 300 on vinyl.
Yeah.
Sitting right there. I literally, for my birthday, which is end of February, I finally got on vinyl, Heart's Greatest Hits.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
We
But
grew up at a special time. Yeah. I think we grew up in a special time for music. We did. I think the 80s, there was a lot of different music that was being played throughout the 80s. Paulie knows, electric started coming into effect towards the end, but we had everything available to us. And I was that kid. I wanted to kind of hate R&B. I did, hip hop, but there were female singers like Shaka Khan that blew me away. First time hearing Shaka Khan sing, and I was like, okay, this is R&B. This isn't bad, But we also grew up with gang rap, so I mean, that was the start of.
See, for me, like with the music, my mother, because my parents were divorced when I was really young, so I got a very eclectic music growing up, from my dad listening to 50s and 60s stuff to my mum listening, because I was not allowed to listen to the Beatles. My mum's English. My mother saw the Beatles when they were the Silver Beatles live, and she hated them. So I was not allowed to listen to the Beatles. But, stuff like the early Bee Gees, like when I say the Bee Gees, I'm talking about the 60s Bee Gees.
Bee Gees, yeah.
Not so much the Saturday night disco era, but, New York mining disaster, Spicks and Specks, that sort of stuff. Loved it, and then my mum remarried, and he was into more of like the Rolling Stones and stuff like that. So I grew up with this really broad spectrum. My auntie, getting me into early Michael Jackson, Bob Dylan, and stuff like that. And then my other auntie getting me into the hard rock, the Black Sabbath, the Led Zeppelin. So I just cop music from so many different angles. It was great, and it was a great time to grow up. The 70s was a great time to grow up.
For me, it was my parents were both immigrants from Italy, so I grew up listening to Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, a big band stuff. But I still remember, and I'm sure both of you two did the same thing, but sitting down watching the Lawrence Welk show, Tiny Bubbles.
What's his name? Carson, not Carson. Yeah, Carson with the Saturday night, the music show, listening to Bandstand, which was a show in Australia. Molly Meldrum, Sounds, Donny Sutherland, which is in a really an Australian show. Rage, which was on our national broadcaster, and they would play all sorts. It was really eclectic.
Then we had Countdown.
Countdown.
Countdown was on the ABC here, and a lot of us
originally,
in Australia.
My brain just kicked in. I just didn't realize when you said the Bee Gees. I forgot the Bee Gees are from Europe, from there. Sorry, go ahead, Paul. My brain just kicked in. I'm like, wait a minute, Bee Gees are from Australia, right, John?
Yeah, correct.
Well, they were actually English born.
Yeah.
Immigrated to Australia when they were really, really young. It's like Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson was American born, but come to Australia really young. And Australia has this innate ability to grab hold of something and call it its own. Like the greatest racehorse that ever lived was Farlap. Now, Farlap was a New Zealand-born racehorse.
Yeah, but there's two of the best racehorses is Secretariat and Farlap. They're the top two.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe's New Zealand-born. So
one of my favorite actors.
We take a lot from New Zealand and call it Australian, which it's not. But but Russell Crowe grew up in Australia. Mel Gibson grew up in Australia. The Bee Gees grew up in Australia. So yes,
that's what influenced their music too. Once you grow up somewhere, that's part of what influences you in music and the way you write music too. So here you go. Here's the next question for you. The first poster on your wall as a teenager. Do you remember it, Bertie?
Oh shit! Now you're testing the memory. Probably Samantha Fox.
Yeah.
I had more than one wet dream there, I can promise you.
Sorry, Father, for I have sinned.
Crucifixion, left line on the left, one cross each. But yeah, it was probably something like that. I can't honestly remember.
It's tough to remember that teenage room of yours. The
teenage angst. Yeah. And what is the most sensitive part of your body when you're having a wank? Your ears. Your ears.
What made it really difficult, and I'm sure you guys were the same way, but they think of Gen X generation as parents that were very loosey-goosey, but when it came to your room and what you got to hang up in there, Mom and Dad still had a say, baby. We could go out and disappear all day for 12, 13 hours, no big deal. But if you have a naked picture up on your wall, all hell breaks loose.
Oh God, yes, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. And my mother was one of those parents that she worked on the principle: if she couldn't get you when you're awake, she'd get you when you're asleep.
Yes. they were sneaky. They were sneaky. My mom was like 5'2". Okay, so she's a tiny
size
woman.
as my mum.
And we were all, I'm 6'4", my brother Phil's 6'3", and my brother Pino's 6'2". We were giants in this house to her, but we feared the shit out of her because at any moment, no matter what was in hand reach, it was a weapon. Whether it was a shoe, a freaking electrical cord.
That was the worst. The jug cord. With the Bakelite fittings. The Bakelite fittings, the welts that they left were nobody. And the jug cord wrapped in cord.
Yes.
My God.
Yep.
And mind you, everyone I copped, I deserved.
Yeah, and you never did it again. You never did it again.
No, I just never. No, I did it again. I just didn't get caught again.
You didn't get caught. Polly knows, and I told this story on the Wednesday Night Live show. But my grandfather had a barbershop that was connected to the house.
I can still hear.
Yeah. And he had that long leather strap that would sit next to the barber's chair that he would use to sharpen the line. And he would scare the shit out of us with that belt. If he came out of the barbershop with that belt, if we were talking back to my mom or talking back to my grandmother, he would, and he was 6'6". He was 6'6". So that belt was 3 feet long, and it would still not touch the ground. And he would just drag that thing, dude. What? Yep. Yeah,
but it was also with Italian families. It was always like they'd take a shoe off and chase you around the house with a fucking shoe. I'm gonna fucking hit you. You're dead.
Yes. You had not lived until you got whooped with a power cord.
God, yeah. Microwave, you're dead on the money. The jug cord, and like my mother was my mother was Welsh. Or is Welsh, I should say, because my mother's still alive. But it was the same rule. Whatever was in reach, and you just got flogged with that. I think the only time my stepfather ever intervened was my mother just kept coming back into the room and flogging me again and flogging me again. And my stepfather was a big man, and he's just, Kiki, my mother hit me. There was more than one Avon hairbrush broken across my ass, I promise
Avon reference. Nice.
Yeah. My stepfather grabbed hold of my mother and just grabbed her by the biceps and just picked her up and just went, he's had enough.
That's enough. Yeah.
I was black and blue, and I'll stick my hand up. I deserved it.
You deserved
I'm not going to
it.
say I didn't.
Yeah.
But
I think we had the same I think we had the same father, Bert. My dad never hit us once. Never once, dude. It was always mom.
Yeah, my father never, my biological father never ever hit me. But if I'd go and visit my dad, and if he whistled, man, I was at his feet in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
standing at attention. Yes, Dad.
Yes.
Looking up. I was scared shitless of my father.
Yeah, me too. I mean, he was quiet, and like he would at the dinner table. All he had to do was just raise his head, and he would just look at you, and it was this air of silence, and it was just like, okay, I'm fucking up. I need to stop whatever I'm doing right now. And he was. My mom never said, "Wait till your dad gets home." She didn't wait. She didn't wait at all.
No, neither did mine. Neither did mine. Fuck.
I noticed.
And if my mother rearranged furniture in the house, you ran. You ran for all love. Like if mum was ranting and raving and carrying on like a pork chop, yeah, mum's losing the shit, sort of stuff. But if my mum started moving furniture, holy Jesus, did you run?
Yes,
oh, yeah, that was scary. Like I said, 5'2" and 6.5 stone ring and wet.
Yeah.
You did not mess with that lady.
I know this one's kind of a difficult question for you to answer, but what would you do if you got an hour all alone in the White House? I know this is a tough one for you, but I mean, if you got a whole hour by yourself.
No. If I got, it wouldn't be Monica Lewinsky, put it that way.
No. There will be no stains. There will be no stains on Bertie's shirt.
I did not have relations with that woman.
With a straight face.
Yeah, with a straight face. If I could sit down with the president, and I'm not talking a specific president,
right? Just
with the president, I would try and have a conversation and say, what are you doing to your people?
Nice.
I would go to that level of saying, what are you doing to your people?
Right.
You are hurting them.
Yeah.
And that's what I believe.
Yeah. I understand like the difference between our president and presidents or kings or whatever monarchs that are running other countries. And I always like asking this question for people outside of the US is because our president is still looked upon as the man of the free world, the president of the free world. And that's how he's treated. And what the US does is an example to the rest of the world and following what we are doing here. And sometimes for the good or the bad, sometimes I think some countries and some nations need to say, I don't give a shit what they're doing over there. What's good for our people? And I think that's important. I think more nations and more countries need to start saying that to themselves and not saying, well, the US is doing this, we should just follow. Don't follow us. Do what's right for your people. Because what you're having to deal with is a lot different than what we're getting to deal with here. Seeing the way vaping is looked upon in Australia, seeing how difficult it is for you guys to have a voice and to be able to speak up and have representation in your government is so difficult. And I think a lot of people here in the US don't understand that, because we do have different doors we can open, and we can put our little voices, our whispers into these people's ears. And I think people don't realize that you guys don't have that. You guys don't have.
No, we don't.
It's difficult. So we're
hogtied, hogtied and bound and gagged. the science isn't followed, and the people that talk sense are berated and shut down, through so many different avenues. And look, politicians are only as good as their advisors. And the people that are advising politicians, because a politician just wants to stay in power.
Yep.
That's the end of the story. I have an anecdotal story of a politician. Right now, this politician was and Paul knows what I'm talking. He was my third form English teacher, right? When I went into fourth form, he left teaching and he went into state parliament. He was only ever a backbencher, so he was never never a main politician. The party that he was in was a politician for was never in power. And he said to me straight out, he said, I stayed in politics for 10 years to get my benefits. Mm-hmm. He came out of state politics, like I said, did nothing, did absolutely zero, donut. And he became the head of the Anglican Schools Board. And I'm talking about the mid-90s. Mm-hmm. And he was on a 6-figure salary. And I know this categorically because my mother was his personal assistant.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Yep, so politicians are only as good as their advisors, and the people that are advising them have their own agendas.
Yep.
And that's what they push.
Yep. Yep.
And they push they push what is perceived as the common good or the common benefit, whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent.
Right.
We've got people like Dr. Colin Mendelsohn, who has 40 years of tobacco harm reduction experience, and people are denying that experience, that lived experience.
Yeah.
Dr. Alex Wodak, who has done more for harm reduction in this country than probably any other person.
Yep.
And they're denying their knowledge. They're denying the science.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. It's a lot of times I think people forget that they work for us. And sometimes I know it's a little different the way it is still there. But even here, it's like when I look at these politicians and the promises that they make when they're on campaign and they're pushing to get into these offices, and then finding out, well, they have lobbyists that are just sitting there in their ears. Hey, this is this and this and this, do this. You promise us this. And they're forgetting about the people and the people that put them into power and gave them an opportunity to have a voice. And it's sad. I just, for me, there are too many billionaires trying to do what they think is right for the common person, and the common person can never dream of the life the billionaire is living. To have some billionaire say, this is the way the world should be. No, fuck you. That's the way you want it. This is the way I want my life. So that's everybody
the
wants
utopia that you see.
Yeah.
The reality is very different to the utopia that you live in.
Yep.
Exactly. Whether it be Bloomberg, whether it be Simon Chapman in Australia, Paul is just, he's going to get rage sweats,
He's already turning red. He already turned red.
And we all do. We all do, because we know the lies, the rhetoric, the total bullshit that's spruiked. But you live in la la land.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't.
Gated communities.
We're at the coal face. We're the ones that are going underground and living this life. You have no idea. Exactly. Super Indigo. You've got no idea of what's actually going on and what works and what doesn't work, because you can throw millions of dollars at it and it works for you. We don't throw money at it. We go and earn that money so you can throw money at it.
So you can throw money at it. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know. It's funny to me. It's like, you know, they think the life that they're living is so much different than the common person that's, you know, been making between $65,000 and $85,000 a year compared to the guy that's making $1 million a year, that lives in a gated community, that's sending the children to private schools, you know, that are leasing planes and flying all over the world and enjoying this, you know, this life. But here we are, scrapping to feed our families, scrapping to keep a roof over our heads, you know. And then we have vaping that is helping millions and millions of people worldwide beat a habit that our grandfathers and our great grandfathers have, many of them have died from cancer. And, you know, having that and not seeing this as a harm reduction product and giving it a chance and just saying, okay, you know what? We want to regulate it. We'll regulate this in a manner that is not only affordable but manageable for distributors that are out there, and give this an opportunity. See it. Do a 10-year study. Open it up. See what happens in 10 years.
But the studies are there, John. The studies.
Well, no, I know the studies are there.
That's the bullshit part about it. We don't have enough information. What a fucking crock of shit. You can release a drug in 3 months.
Yeah,
3
exactly.
fucking months.
That's going to save the world.
That's coming out. That isn't as good as what they said it was.
Yeah,
you know,
we can't talk about that. They'll shut us down here. Yeah, we can't say that word.
But no. That's why I didn't say it.
Yeah,
that's exactly why I didn't say it.
Don't say the word. Here we go.
Watching Alex, okay, who has worked for some very big hospitals like here and abroad, as a doctor of harm reduction, and like on the front line of like safety when it came, like in the late 80s, is when I first met him. When it came to HIV and like drug injecting and things like that, and he was behind the safe injecting rooms here in Sydney.
Yep.
But working in drug and alcohol at St. Vincent's Hospital, and that is like the be all and end all here in Australia. If you were there, he was on staff there for 30 years.
That's right.
And he's been shut down by the government.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How does that make you feel when you hear things like that are now coming out? Colin Mendelsohn, 40 years, because his father, like he followed in his father's footsteps as a doctor, and Colin is the same thing. 40 years, like, you know, working
and there's other people
tobacco harm reduction
that are behind those scenes that never show their face in public and have all the facts and figures, and they get shut down.
They get shut down.
Yeah, I know exactly how it feels sitting, you know, sitting with my science brain and, you know, what I've got in my fuel tank, and people look at me and they say, well, have you had a paper published? Well, actually I have, but not in harm reduction, in veterinary. Yes, I have. So go figure.
Yeah.
And when you give analogies between the animal world and the human world, all they want to talk about is rats. And I'm looking, okay, a rat's a rat. Okay, we're not rats.
That's right.
Yeah, but so what? Yeah, that's the famous words
from what?
But so what?
Don't bring him up. Don't you dare. That's a drinking
hold on,
word.
Paulie. Mr. Paulie Walnuts, did you just re-wick an RDA during my show?
Yeah. What?
Good man. I love when that happens.
At least you didn't get me to build a 7 stack like they did last week.
No, I won't do that to you. All right, let's here we go. We'll get back to some music here. What's the one band or musician you love to party with, dead or alive?
Oh, back in the day, Jimmy Barnes.
Jimmy, I'm gonna have to
Jimmy Barnes, Cold Chisel.
Okay, yeah.
A Scottish immigrant. who drank, because I was a massive drinker. There you go, the Super Indigo.
Yes.
I didn't say it; he said it, and he was the chief pharmacologist for the TGA. TGA for the American people is equivalent to the FDA.
Yeah.
You know, but Jimmy Barnes, I reckon, would have been the man that I would have loved to have got on the sauce with.
Would you have survived? Would you have survived?
I'd have held my own. I'd have held my own. I don't know whether I'd have survived, but I'd held my own. Because
you would have been part of Breakfast at Sweethearts.
Yeah, pretty much, man.
All right. Music is to the soul what words are to the mind. So my question for you is, if you were to put together, remember this word, we remember this word growing up, a mixtape.
Oh,
what songs would be your top 3 songs on your mixtape? The kids out there are going, mixtape. What the fuck's a mixtape?
Fuck's a mixtape, yeah. Depends on whether it was I was trying to get a little bit of there was 2 types of mixtape. There was the road trip mixtape, and then there was the Barry White mixtape. You know what I mean?
Well, which one do you want to do? You want to do the road trip one or the one?
The road trip. The road trip.
Yeah.
Battle of Evermore.
Nice.
That's iconic to me, but not by Led Zeppelin. By the Love Mongers.
Okay.
Which is Ann Wilson. Sympathy for the Devil, the Rolling Stones. Yeah. And I would have to say Working Class Man, Jimmy Barnes.
Nice tape. Nice.
Yeah, that would be the 3 top, I'd reckon. Yeah, the Ann Wilson doing the Battle of Evermore with Nancy Wilson on the mandolin.
Yeah.
Man. Fuck. Wow. Yeah.
Polly, man, since you're on the show, what would be the 3 songs on your tape? Flock of Seagulls.
No.
I got it ready to laugh, man.
Yeah, followed by Boy George.
By Boy George.
Fuck, here we go. One would definitely have to be Kashmir. Zeppelin.
Oh yes, yeah, Kashmir. Yeah, I've got Zeppelin 2, 3, and 4 on vinyl right there. I still prefer Immigrant Song.
Yeah. California.
Yeah. The Angels, Take a Long Line.
Yes, great band, incredible band. Our US people probably wouldn't know the Angels.
And another Australian band would have to be the Vinyls, All the Boys in Town.
The Vinyls, yeah.
Oh, Chrissy Amphlett, mate. Ooh, doggies. If that don't get your pulse racing, you're dead from the neck up.
Radar Love.
Oh,
thank you, bastard. Now that song is stuck in my fucking head.
Yeah.
And there's one other track that I'd have to put in there. Sniffing Tears.
Nice.
Driver's Seat.
Yeah, Driver's Seat, Sniffing the Tears. Yeah. Actually,
right.
You know what?
He's going to change his tape.
I could always do Mike Oldfield, Moonlight Shadow. Yeah.
Right.
Or Yes.
Yes.
Yes, another incredible music.
Did you guys grow up liking any of the bands that came out of Canada? You know which band I'm talking about.
Yeah. Hello.
Were you guys Rush fans? I need to ask if you guys
Rush,
were.
yeah.
Looking at Birdie's reaction, Birdie was not a Rush fan.
Nah.
No.
I was.
And I stream with a Canadian every week.
Yeah.
Legion Vapes is Canadian born.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So, yeah, look, my wife's eldest brother, big muso, like right into music, right? And he's got gold albums throughout his house, and he's got a number of Rush. And I go, really? Don't get it. It wasn't my thing.
It wasn't mine either. I know there's some big Rush fans out there, and I will say it, probably one of the best drummers ever, ever.
Yeah. Neil Peart.
But I wasn't a really big fan of their music. I really just didn't get their music. It didn't get me here. Like I didn't feel it when I heard their music.
It didn't pull. It didn't reach inside you.
Right.
Yeah.
Here we're going to get deep now before we head on out of here. What would your friends and family assume you have done if you were arrested without an explanation?
I can't answer that.
I can't answer
without
incriminating himself.
Because no, my mother would know that I could have been. Actually, both my mother and my father know that I could have been arrested for. There's one thing and one thing only that my family know that I could never be arrested for.
Yeah.
Everything else is on the table.
It's on the table. Yeah.
Drugs, alcohol, murder.
Yeah.
They all know that I could be arrested for that
at any time.
Thing that and I mixed, particularly when I was in my late teens through 20s, I mixed in a bike subculture.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. No, I get it. What was
and I was deep into that subculture.
Yeah. What was the first major news media event you remember as a teenager, and how did it change you? You come from we all come from a generation there were some things in the news that we saw that really made, because we were teenagers, we really didn't care a lot, but there was always that one thing that we actually sat down to listen to because we knew it was important to actually hear it and see it and be there.
Two things I really remember, and I'm talking young. I remember the Queen's Silver Jubilee in 1977. And the next really big thing was the assassination of John Lennon. Yeah. I was in 6th class in school, so that's 11 years old.
Yeah.
And I remember it distinctly. I remember this girl coming to class, and you got to remember it was early morning for us.
Mm-hmm.
And she was just sobbing. I remember that. I distinctly remember that. Anyone that sacks their employee today is a bum. Our Prime Minister, Bob Hawke, saying that on national television in 1982. But I remember the assassination of John Lennon. And this girl was uncontrollably sobbing over it. So that was 1980.
Yeah, 1980.
Yeah. But the two things that I remember pre-teen was Silver Jubilee, the Queen, and the assassination of John Lennon.
Yeah, and look how much longer she lived. It's insane. That woman just kept going.
It's crazy.
Yeah. kept going.
She was Burge of Paints. Keep on mate.
Yeah.
She was,
yeah. It's funny, you know, how people react when famous people pass away. And for me, it's the same thing, but it wasn't John Lennon for me. It was Elvis. And sitting there watching.
Yeah, I remember Elvis.
I remember my parents crying, and I'm like, did we know this guy? Was he family? I just didn't comprehend why.
Correlate.
Yeah, I was just like, what the hell is going on here? He wasn't, wasn't a family member. He was, but then later in life, as I started loving music and other things, I kind of understand that to my parents, that was part of their youth. Elvis was part of their youth growing up.
I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah.
I've got Blue Hawaii on vinyl. I've got GI Blues on vinyl. I've got Separate Ways on vinyl. I've got Greatest Hits Volume 1 on vinyl.
Yeah.
All in my collection.
That song, Separate Ways, when I hear it, I have to sit down. I literally have to sit down. I do.
The one that actually you say that, the one that gets me.
You feel that. Yeah.
Is Suspicious Minds.
Suspicious Minds. Yes. Yeah. That one too. Yes.
That one just reaches into your soul.
Yes.
And just squeezes,
Yeah. It took me into my teens to realize that. Cause then, like for me, Paulie knows I am a big Eddie Money fan. I grew up with Eddie Money. I grew up listening to Eddie Money every summer. I've seen Eddie Money over 20 something times in my life, from the 80s all the way until he passed away. And for me, it was like, when I turned on the internet, and when I got on the internet and I saw Eddie Money passed away, it felt like my teen years were just wiped away. It was just like, oh my God, there no more Eddie, no more seeing Eddie, no more concerts of Eddie. And that's when, to me, I felt like, okay, I get it now. I understood what my parents were going through when, Elvis passed away, and understanding that music meant something to them. It was a change, a big change, huge change. To me, there's two, Elvis and the Beatles, and then Elvis. I mean, those two people, groups and person changed a world, changed the way the whole world acted. It's insane that two people with no political aspirations whatsoever could have that much of a grasp.
So you had the Elvis of the 50s into the 60s, 70s, with the movies and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But the Beatles changed it through music and music only. They united, or actually not united, they unified a generation. It was greater than united. They unified a generation.
Yes.
They were the sound of a generation.
Yeah. Now it's Taylor Swift. Look at Bertie. I know, Bertie. I know.
But you know what I mean?
Yes.
But like I said earlier, my daughter's late teens to mid 20s. Yeah. And I remember the big thing with One Direction.
Yes.
And they're crapping on that. They're so good. They're this, they're that, they're this, they're that. And I'm just going, they're not the fucking Beatles.
Nope.
They're not the Beatles.
No.
They're not the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
But the Beatles was probably the greatest.
Yeah.
And you got to remember that we don't have to remember, because we lived it.
We lived it, yeah.
They didn't have this mass media thing that they have now, where everything is bang, 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 bang. It's about it instantaneously.
Yeah.
They sold billions of records through television across every country in the world.
Yep. Without
One Direction,
social media.
without social media, So I just,
It's mind blowing, the accomplishments that a lot of bands, especially in the 60s and 70s, and even in the 80s, accomplished without social media. And today, let's start a YouTube channel and start singing, and we'll become YouTube famous and somehow work a deal with maybe with a record company and get on Spotify.
Now they can do it through AI.
Yeah,
now they can do it through AI. Like, fuck off.
Don't get me started on AI.
I know, because I watched your last show and I'm going, you're into the whole AI thing, and I'm just going, I got to throw that little bit of bait out. I got to throw that little bit of bait out. Get it running in, you know.
I love photography. I am a landscape photographer, and one of the most amazing things to me during this
you
time
and I have got to talk off camera then.
Yes, is going to IG every year and seeing these amazing photos of the Northern Lights. And all of a sudden, I'm like, I get on IG this year and I start looking, I go, holy crap, there's tons more than I've ever remember seeing, you know? And I'm like, I'm loving it at first. And then eventually I found out, well, it's all AI generated. They were all put in there. And that pissed me off, because I'm like, okay, if this keeps going, you know, how you're not going to, you know, one of the things we generations of the 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s got was a photo was truth. It was truth. If you got a photo of something, it was truth. That you were holding truth, because you can't fake that. And now today, that is easily faked, easily manipulated, easily converted. So for me, it blew me away that so many people decided to not go out and photograph one of the most amazing, spectacular things that our Earth does for us, and yet say, oh, fuck it, I'll just take a picture of the sky and I'll add some AI to it and put the lights in there. And I'm like, oh, that pissed me off.
I do not own any photo enhancing imagery computer programs.
Right.
I don't. Yeah. If I take a photo, it is the photo that I've taken.
Yeah.
I do not enhance it in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Because to me, that's not photography.
Right. Yeah. Ansel Adam didn't do that.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. And it's one of those things that really fucking bugs me, you know, like social media wise, right?
Yeah.
I don't have a big YouTube presence. I have more of an Instagram presence, right?
Yes.
But every photo that I put on there is a photo that I've taken.
Right.
Whether it be taken in my backyard, whether it be taken in my house, whether it's whatever. Yeah. It's a photo that I have taken. And it's a raw image.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No,
it just infuriates me.
Yeah. 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 That's for me too. Our last question for you, Birdie. What is the best piece of advice you have ever been given?
The best piece of advice I've ever been given. They can't turn you into a green tree frog and cancel your birthdays.
Okay, now you're gonna have to explain that one to me, man. Who told you that for the first time?
My psychologist.
Your psychologist.
When I had my nervous breakdown, like I was 7 kinds of fucked up, you know, mentally. My first marriage had broken down. I had attempted suicide. I proceeded to have a complete shutdown. And it was all in my head.
Yeah.
Which mental illness is. It's in your head. And I may sound flippant about it, but I'm not. But the thing that was told to me was they can't turn you into a green tree frog and cancel your birthdays. And that resonated. It made me stop and go, damn,
Yeah.
You're right.
You're right.
You know, and it made me, it kicked into gear a thought process which started the recovery from not being able to deal with things and handle things to being an incredibly strong person now. It's a 30-year battle or 28-year battle. And I live and breathe that expression. You know, I've died 3 times. And that was 2 of those were pre my suicide attempt because I was dead when they cut the rope. And I talk openly and honestly about it because that's the way that I deal with it.
Yeah.
I hung myself, and everything after that, it's small.
Yeah.
But you've got to get to that point before you can realize that it is small.
It's more.
And I have spent from that day to this, that people that I am close with, I pick up on when they are down, and I make sure to fuck that I stay in touch.
Yeah.
That I reach out.
Yeah.
Because you don't know the impact that you have on a person if you don't talk to them.
Yes.
You know, and it is something that I am passionate about, and it's not something that I talk a lot about.
Yeah.
But I talk to people. I talk to individuals.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not. Please don't think I'm trying to big note myself, because that's not who I am.
Yeah.
But I'm a very much a person that rings people. You know, I'll just pick up the phone and go, "Hey, mate,
how you
okay?
Doing? Yeah, yeah.
How you doing?" You know,
that's the difference sometimes.
That's the difference between life and death.
Yeah,
and that is cold hard fact.
Yep.
You know, because if it wasn't for my ex-wife ringing a mate of mine saying that Birdie's hanging himself,
yeah,
I'd have been dead.
Yeah,
straight out. You know, and my mate raced around, put an axe through the rope, brought me back to consciousness because I was blue. And then once I got conscious again, he beat me to a fucking pulp. You're a fucking idiot.
Yep. Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, you probably been the
very
crap
Australian thing.
Yeah,
very
yeah.
Australian thing.
It's
Yeah.
very Italian too. Very Italian too. Believe me, you stupid son of a bitch. Yeah, you can't go. Yeah, cornuto. Exactly. Beautifully said. Beautifully said. Cornuto.
Che cazzo fai fanculo brutto poco?
Oh my God! Hey, yeah,
I can roll my R's.
Yeah,
I can roll
love
my
that.
R's.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to give you a few minutes here for yourself. Everything that Birdie is associated with is in the header. His YouTube channel, his Instagram channel, and I think I had something else that I had marked on there. There's a few things that are on there. You can find Birdie always on IG doing some great videos. If you are into Mechmods like I am and still love the old school way of vaping, where how it all started, it's a great YouTube channel. Check out and his IG. I remember seeing the first one, and I saw that stack, and I said, I gotta make one. And I called TVL, and I said, I need something to stack. And he's like, John, you sure you know? I go, no, I need something I want to stack, damn it. And I did 2. I only went 2. Yeah, I went 2. I was like, okay, I'm not going to go further than that. But I'm going to give you a few minutes to share anything that you want to share, and if there's something you want to say to the advocates that are out there to keep fighting, the floor is yours, and say what you will.
Okay, first and foremost, I want to say thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure. You fight tooth and nail for this wonderful thing that we have that is getting us off something that kills 2 out of 3 of its users. Is it perfect? No, but it's the fucking best thing that we have, you know. And do I enjoy it? 100% I enjoy it. Flavors matters. Everybody's life matters. So, you know, let's not forget the big picture. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Every cliche that you can think of.
Yeah.
Look, vaping works. It is the most successful nicotine replacement therapy that is on the market today. Don't stop singing its praises. Don't stop advocating for it. Tell everyone that'll listen, and tell the ones that won't listen twice. You know, we're all here for the same reason, because it's worked for us. So, and not everybody fits into one mold. So the Australian government, you want this pharmaceutical system where it's this, but then there's a whole world outside of that not everyone fits into that. Mechmods are my passion because they worked for me. If I had to go down a pod/disposable system, it would never have worked. Never, ever have worked. Not a chance in hell. I'm the dickhead that vapes at 900 watts. And I enjoy it. It's not because I'm trying to say I'm bigger, better, badder, whatever.
Yeah. It's what worked for you.
Physically enjoy it. You know, I used to lung cigarettes. I'd finish a cigarette in 4 puffs, you know, and at 16 milligrams, you know, like the strongest you could buy, you know. But I also want to thank chat.
Yes.
Wonderful to see you. You know, there's been, you know, there's people that are in chat that are very familiar to me. Addy, Labworks, Ern, Bastard, Super Indigo, Mallory, you know, these are all regular people that all keep fighting the fight that we fight. You know, God bless them. You know, this world, don't let the bastards tell you any different. But the tree frog is something better. I didn't read it before, bastard. Sorry, man. Yeah. But that's the thing, you know.
Yeah.
They can't turn you into a green tree frog and cancel your birthday. So it's up to you to decide.
Yep.
You know, you are your own governor.
Yep. Yep.
It's like today, you know, like every day, people say, "How are you, Birdie?" I turn around and the exact sentence that comes out of my mouth every time, I'm vertical, so I'm happy.
Yeah, I'm alive. That's what I always tell my kids. I'm alive.
Yeah, I woke up this morning. It's going to be a great day. Whether it's a shit day or not, it's still a great day. I woke up.
Yeah. It's the small things. I know. I even taught my kids early in life that it's okay to smile and say good morning. I said, because you don't know that person. You don't know what kind of day they're having, you know, and that smile
100%.
and that good morning can mean the world to that person. Could be the decision that they decide that, okay, it's not time to go. There's still some good people out here. And I stress that to everyone. I think that's one of the things I think over time has disappeared. Everyone, yes, I understand everyone is busy, but I can guarantee you that you're not as busy as my parents were in the 50s. You're not as busy as my grandparents were in the 40s and in the 30s. They still said good morning to each other. They still said, how's your day? And there was still a handshake. There was still a pat on the back. And I think that's something today is been kind of wiped away. COVID had a lot to do with it. Yep,
manners cost nothing.
$0. Yep,
$0. And there's a sentence that my mother and my grandma, particularly my grandmother, used to say: "Manners maketh the man."
Yep.
It's an old saying, but it's so true. You know.
Yep.
And a smile and a kind word goes longer than a big stick and a harsh word.
Yes, exactly.
You know, and look, realistically, we have so much at our disposal now.
Yep.
That we are living in such a world where you can make a difference so easily.
Yep.
You know.
Yep. You're right.
Now that I've got to know you, John, you know, over nearly a couple of hours, you know, talking face to face. I don't mean typing, but talking face to face. Guess what? You'll get a random video call or a random phone call.
I would love that. I love that.
You know, because that's what I'm like. It'd just be, oh, okay, he's online. Video call. Hey, dude, how you going?
Yeah. Nice.
How's things?
I would enjoy that.
Because that's the way I am, you know. It costs nothing to be nice. It costs nothing to smile. And yes, Michelle, that is so true.
Beautiful. Yep.
That is beautifully said. Beautifully said. You know. Yeah. But mind you, the flip side of that coin is you treat me with disrespect.
Yeah.
Look the fuck out.
I don't need that in my life. That's what I tell my kids too.
Yeah, 100%.
Negativity is just drawn to a different part of your mind that makes you wander off the chosen path of happiness. That's a saying that I have learned a long time ago, and that's something I use. That's why I try to stay away
probably the biggest thing from when I was with my ex-wife. And I'm not saying she's a bad person. I'm not slagging her off. Don't get me wrong.
Right. Yeah.
The people, the culture the life that I was living, was not conducive to a healthy, happy human being.
Right.
Once I broke that cycle, 28 years later, been married in August 25 years, 3 more beautiful children. And I can categorically state, if I was to fall off this earth tomorrow, would I be a complete human? Absolutely.
Yes. Beautiful. That's exactly.
And that's all you can ask for.
That's it.
You know, so.
All right, Bertie. I want to thank you again for joining us, and Mr. Paulie Walnuts, Mr. Walnuts. Thanks for jumping in. Don't do that.
You do a pretty good Molly Meldrum, Paulie.
He does. He's a good man. I missed Paulie being on the show. I do miss you being on there. Hopefully, we'll get you back.
Like I said, man, we worked it out that our paths crossed in the mid 80s. Early 80s.
He told me a story.
Skating together.
Yeah. Roller skating. I'm picturing Paulie in some short shorts.
More the denim jeans with the fishnet shirt.
Listening to ABBA.
Not so much that. It was actually lycra shorts in the end, and like when I was full blown speed skating.
Yeah. Oh, when we were competitively doing it,
no hair.
All right, everybody. Hey, and again, thank you, everybody in chat. Again, you can find everything that Birdie is associated with. Go check out that IG channel. You'll love it. Like I said, it's all mechs, and it's how we all started.
There is one more. There is one more. There is a consumer advocacy group that I am a part of called Osaka.
Yeah,
which
you want to
is
send me the link, or you can put the
ASACA.
link in chat. You want to put the link in chat if you have it? Yeah, that would work out great.
I've got to type
We
it right.
are all about advocacy groups, so yeah.
.org.au. There's a chat.
Yeah,
that's osaka.org.au. It's purely a consumer advocacy group. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, web, all there. It's grassroots. There is no backing other than regulars. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Regular people. Yeah.
Perfect.
Oh, Cajun pizza. Oh,
I want pizza. I know.
Now I want pizza. Cajun pizza.
All right, everybody. Thank you again in chat. Thank you, Birdie, for being here. Polly, thank you for jumping in. We'll see everybody back to Thursday. Back to Thursday. This is a special show today for our Australian buddies. Again, 17 hours difference in time. So I will make it work for anybody out there, wherever you are in the world. And I want to show people from all over the world that we're not in our 20s wearing skinny jeans, running around with jewels in our pockets. No, we're not. We are vapors, and we come from all different walks of life. Some of us Mechmod, some use disposables, some use regulated mods, some of us don't. So, and flavors matter. We need flavors. And I want to show the world that, we're different people. We're in our 20s, we're in our 30s, we're in our 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. I will be getting someone on this show in their 70s. Eventually, I will get someone in their 70s to come on here. But again, thank you, Birdie, for joining us. We'll see everybody next Thursday. Everybody look in the camera and say goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you.